we rolling?
We're rolling.
We're rolling. All right. Hello, Imagine Church. I am Gregory, minister to children and families, and this is Tamra, and we have Rosabella here. And we are talking with Dr. Pam Davis today, and this is for Imagine Kids parents. We are going to ask some practical questions to help give insight during this unique time. And so Tamara and I are going to ask some questions, and Dr. Pam Davis is going to share some of her insights and wisdom to help us out, to give us some good advice and help. And so, Dr. Davis, thank you for being with us today. I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to do this. I appreciate that. And I am a graduate of Gordon-Conwell. My wife, Tamara, is a graduate of Gordon-Conwell. That's where we met. And she is a licensed professional marriage and family therapist. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Davis, you are the director of graduate programs and counseling at Gordon-Conwell. You got your MA in counseling ministries from Wheaton College, and I know what kind of school that is. Your PhD in counselor education and supervision from Regent University. You are a play therapist supervisor and 2 years in Thailand as a missionary. So I could go on, but we'll just stop there. That is very impressive. I like that you were a missionary on top of all your education. So I'm really excited to start with these questions to help out the Imagine Kids parents. Again, this is for the parents to just help them out, to have a wonderful resource like Dr. Pam Davis. So would you like to start, honey?
Sure.
Okay.
So my question is, being home all the time, really struggling with discipline right now. I have 4 kids, so this is the youngest. Don't really worry too much about discipline with her.
Right.
But I have a 6-year-old, a 8-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And I don't know if them just being home all the time and we're tired, I just seem to be struggling more with discipline. So I was just wondering if you could help us with that.
Sure. The first thing I think about when I think about children that age is that for each of these kids, all of your children really, this is going to be considered a traumatic experience for them. Having lived through the COVID pandemic is a traumatic experience. And in fact, one of the things that child clinicians and child psychologists use to measure childhood experiences is something called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. And recently, the research has shown that actually any child who grew up during the COVID pandemic is going to have at least one ACE, one adverse childhood experience.
Wow.
Now, having said that as the background, I think it changes the way we view discipline, because one of the things that happens when our kids go through a traumatic experience is their behavior changes and can get out of control. Because why? Everything in the whole world is out of control for that child. So that child is just mirroring the world is out of control, my parents are out of control, my church is out of control, my school is out of control, but I have to be in control. I don't know how to be in control right now.
Wow.
And so I think really, Tamara, my heartbeat to that is to say, yes, like discipline is going to be really hard right now for you and for your children. And that's totally normal.
Yeah. So I'm curious, the hardest one for us is the 6-year-old, who we won't name.
Yeah.
But she likes to be a donkey.
Yes, she's going to be a donkey in the videos.
So our 6-year-old right now seems to be struggling the most, and just screaming and, kicking her legs, temper tantrum, timeout. She doesn't want to be in timeout. It's just everything seems to be a wrestling match with her.
And would you say that that's different behavior than previously?
More extreme behavior.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely more extreme.
I would anticipate that. So if we listen with the child's ears, I think she's trying to tell us something, right? She's trying to say, I'm in trouble here.
Mm.
Everything is so messed up and I don't know what to do. And I think one of the things that might be helpful to try is to continue to reassure her in the times when she's not that way, to continue to reassure her that you've got this, God's got this, you know exactly what's going to happen. Everybody is going to, people are going to get well, that she's safe. I think it's really important to continue to encourage her that, hey, you're safe. These are all the things we're doing to keep you safe. One of the metaphors I like to think about is if we have a child that's out I live on Lake Wylie, that's out in the middle of the lake and they're drowning, and we see that they're drowning and they're gasping for water. I mean, they're taking in water and they're barely able to stay afloat. That is not the time to teach them to swim. That is not the time to say, hey, okay, wait, relax, kick your legs. What do we do in that moment?
We rescue them.
We
save them.
And save them, whether that's throwing them afloat, whether that's jumping in, we rescue them. But during the middle of that tantrum, that isn't the time to teach her how to not tantrum. That is the time to save her. And remind her of your love and care. And then later, we can talk about the behavioral, what we might do differently behaviorally.
Okay. Well, I have a follow-up with that, and you kind of answered that question. In fact, I think you have, because, Tamara and I have different backgrounds. I came from a military family, and so it was very authoritarian. And, Tamara has taught me.
And I came from a very free-loving, do what you want family.
Yeah. And so, discipline, and I am the stepfather, so I'm very, very careful, but I think it's like goes against everything that I grew up with, the extreme back talking and the screaming. And so I'm thinking that, going with a more authoritarian discipline, I'm not talking about spanking or punishing, but it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're not in charge. Okay. You are not the parent here. You're out of control and you need to calm down. That is not really rescuing her if you take that approach. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, I think what I hear you saying is, and there would be a lot to unpack here, probably more than we can do in a brief time. But I think that what I hear you saying is you take more of an authoritarian approach. Tamara, you take more of a permissive approach. And you all are struggling to actually find the healthiest parenting balance, which is authoritative. So that's not authoritarian, my way or the highway, do it this way, nor is it permissive, do it your way. It's this middle approach in between authoritarian and permissive that, child psychologists like to call authoritative. And so that might be something to unpack. And one of the ways I would begin to unpack that, which we won't do right here, is to ask you, Gregory, and how do you feel about your childhood experience? And to ask you, Tamara, and how did you feel about your childhood experience? Because my guess is that likely that's actually not the parent you want to be. The parent that you had is not the parent you want to be, because you actually want to bring redemption, right? None of us actually are perfect parents. But I like to remind myself of this a lot, that it is actually in the places that we most fail as parents that God uses those areas to grow our children closer to Him when they're adults. Think about that in your own lives. The areas where your parents failed, that's the area where you have found God the most.
Wow.
So are you going to fail as a parent? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take the pressure off. You're going to fail. And God is going to redeem that and use those failures to bring your children to Himself.
Oh, that is a very insightful way. That's a great way to look at that, because that has helped me. So, all right, I think that is a great place. We'll stop for there. And thank you, Dr. Pam Davis, for that. And we'll see everybody next time with the next session. All right. Bye-bye, guys.